So today's guest is Mr. Glen. So welcome. And Glen is a business consultant. So you're specialized in digital transformation, process optimization, and so on. So today we'll speak about how to make your life easy in the daily work life. So with use of many tools such as Granola, Notebook LLM, or Gamma for those who doesn't know. So I just leave the floor to Glen.
Great, thank you for the introduction. So apparently I have until midnight, so buckle up, right? We're going in for a long run. Who's here for the first time, actually? Oh, so a lot of you. Half of you. Well, welcome. So I've only been here for a few times myself, but I've agreed to kind of give a little bit from my expertise, how I've touched AI. You know, what's interesting is looking at, we can ask each one of you how you've touched AI, what your experiences are, and it's such a mixed bag. Everyone just seems to touch it from a very different angle, different uses, different business reasons. My journey, I started off quite recently last year, well, it's the end of last year, starting to see what I can get out of AI to make it useful. I had a business reason to do it, so I dove in to really get into the nitty-gritties of it to see what I can get out of it, something really practical that we can try to replicate in what other businesses can use. So just a quick introduction from my side. My name is Glen Foster. I come from a background of technology and sales. So most of the technology you see at the airports in Switzerland is the passenger processing solutions, is something that I sold and put in place for the airports. Gone from that to more of a consulting role where I'm now helping other companies or small businesses or larger going through a transition of some sort, digital transformation. So I'm also sitting with a side project where we're working on getting a social initiative up and running and scaling it. So a working social initiative, which I'll explain later, and getting that scaled up. And that's where it's been a great use case to see how much we can use AI to kind of put things in place and then scale it. So I'll go through some examples in a minute. But I'm always interested to see how other people are using this technology. The more you discuss, the more you see how people are using it in such a different way. I asked the question earlier, what's your expertise in AI? And it's a very tough question to answer, isn't it? I mean, it's like, I've got an expertise in a certain tool or a certain domain or getting what I need out of it. So the way I'm going to try to approach this is this is not for larger enterprises, I'll kind of discuss in a very different way with them, but for small companies, for small businesses, small reasons, this is kind of what we're going for. And using or thinking of AI more in the narrowest use of AI. Not the big generic uses, but try to find narrow uses where you can say, this is what I need it to do for me on an everyday basis. Good. Let's get cracking. I hope the screen isn't too wobbly. I feel like I'm on a ship or something. So interesting, I looked into the business's challenges of AI. Just, you probably heard the MIT report where 95% of businesses who are putting generative AI projects, into their business are failing. It's quite a huge number. But it's not because of AI, it's because of the way it is run and the level of commitment to it and the adoption of it. So there is other problems. It's not AI itself. So it's how it's being used. So a lot to learn. I think it's, I kind of use AI a little bit like putting electricity or inventing electricity. Electricity is very powerful, but we all have to come up with our kettles and our devices to use to make it practical for everyone else. But we're getting so many more tools coming out, almost on a daily basis, and new capabilities with LLMs. It's amazing to see how fast we're progressing, but hell of a difficult to keep up to see where the technology is, where it's going. Swiss SMEs adoption, well, it jumped from last year to this year an extra 10%. We're up to 34%, but the use cases are translations, correspondence, and I don't even know what ad copy is. So there's only a minority of them that are using AI for actual process automations or deeper business functions. ad copy is writing copy for like promotions, advertisements, or just copy in general. Perfect. So the challenge is that they're seeing here is they're lacking the internal capabilities, they're lacking the clarity on what they want. So from the practical framework side, it's trying to see if we can get quality. And quality is consistency. So if you can produce something once, you kind of have to have a similar result for certain projects that you're working on. I'm also looking at this authenticity. We're all getting a little bit tired of what we're seeing coming at us from the internet. AI-generated imagery, left, right, and center. We all get this feeling of like, is that? Oh no, that's not real. You know, when we see a person, when we see an image, when we see an email, we're like, where's the authenticity in it? You know, everything's starting to feel a little bit mechanic, a little bit, you know. So for me, an aspect that I really try to look at is where can we still keep our authenticity when we're using AI. So it doesn't feel when we're dealing with customers or dealing with people that something is off. We have this little sense when we see things now, when we see ads, and we're just like, is that actually real? So I start with authenticity, if I can say the word right. What I want to introduce is when you're using AI, I've always found that if you come with your idea, you're so much better off. If you know what you want, you're so much better off. If you try asking AI what you're wanting and give you ideas for this and that, it's very difficult to kind of progress into something systematic, into something that's controlled. You'll get words. You'll get lots of words, word salads. You'll get imageries of all sorts, but you have to somehow get into some sort of, you've got to turn it into where you need to be focusing. Define the problem, one of the biggest problems. So I'm also studying with MIT at the moment. So taking away, you know, I've been studying more from a general perspective, like an AI generalist. Going through to MIT for 9 months of training now to try seeing what they're discussing with leaders and what they're trying to push into or teaching the industry about AI. And one of the problems even they've come up with is people are not defining what they want. They're not defining what the problem is in their organizations. Even for small businesses, we have to define what it is we want out of it. Get the definition correctly. It's a lot easier then to kind of come up with a solution and actually know if you're doing it successfully. Be clear on your outcomes. Learn, adapt, and loop right back in. It's kind of the way that I've seen things work. If you can be iterative, get something out, read it, you know, get the human validation side of it. You look at it, see if it's what you want. If it is, that's something that we try to hold on to, okay? And build up from there. And use AI as an enabler, not to replace thinking, human thinking, okay? Bring your own thoughts, bring your own creativity. It's amazing what you can get then as an enabler from AI instead of trying to just rely on it to think for you. It's unfortunate how in education systems now, the schools, it's terrible. The kids aren't thinking anymore. They're just plugging things in to an LLM, getting their responses, plugging it back into their answers. We have to keep on thinking as humans, and then we're getting excellent enablers that can take us much further than we ever have been able to go before. I really believe that. So the concept and idea that I want to look at is just this idea of, we have input sources, but what I want to concentrate on is this idea with a master prompt of sorts in most of the projects that I've seen on small business scales, and this building block element, and I'll come back to that, what that is. But this loopback structure where you've got a master prompt, you're getting a structured outcome that you want, then you validate it. Is this what I want? If it is, make that a building block. If there's an iteration, if there's something that changes, you put it back into an import, go through the same prompt system, and you try to perfect what your prompt looks like so that you get the structured outcome you're wanting. And then you build it into validating, build it as a block. And I'll give an example of that. A few of them, actually. Master prompts, the way I see it as, it's for getting a consistent result. So you're constantly you're designing a prompt to get exactly what you need, and you're quite specific in what you need. You are acting as your objectives are, if you're speaking to an LLM. The context of what I'm asking is this. The instructions you have are X, Y, Z. Put it in this format. I want this heading to start with, then we move to this, and then we go to the next. And then notes. Will be authentic. Don't make anything up. No hallucinations, etc., etc., etc. But you're building up a prompt that is actually structured, it's purposeful, and it's not just going, hey, listen, AI, I need an image of something. I need a CV update. I need whatever the case might be. So build up first your master prompt, get it structured, get it the way you want it, so that when you get an outcome, you can read it and you go, I knew what I wanted in the first place. Does this actually do it? And if it does, keep it. And if you need to come back to it, you come back to it later and you feed it through the master prompt again. Reusable sources, kind of what I was saying earlier, your input sources. So keep those sources, keep the platform agnostic. Well, it can go, this idea can go with any sort of platform, and you save the master prompt again for a reuse, okay? For another iteration or for we need to come back to it. The building block, this can be for anything. It's like, it just depends on what you are doing. It depends on the domain that you're in, your interest, your project, or whatever the case, but you have many different kind of building blocks. They're specific to your needs. It's a living contextual document. So what are the products that I offer as a company? List the products, you know exactly what they are, and there's a definition and explanation of each one. Another building block, what is my master CV? It could be a massive CV of all of your experience. It could be everything that you've ever done, but you don't need all of that information all the time. So you're going to have the master information and then you extract what it is you need when you need it. But I'll come back to a few more. It's reusable, it's validated by you, you're okay with the results, and that becomes something that you build up other projects with. And you keep it up to date. And that will give, that gives AI proper relevance when you're working on a project. If you started a new chat, you seed all that information into the chat, but just seed in what you need, all the right information for that project. What happens a lot with AI is that you start getting lots of hallucinations the more you use a certain conversation, a certain chat. So it's better to start quite regularly a new chat and just feed in. Come on in. Oh, wait just a second. Yep, so good. So to avoid hallucinations, it's great that you take your building blocks, seed them right back into a new chat. Don't start a whole new conversation and then there's no context in that chat session. Go to a new platform. You want to, again, build in all the right context, so you use these building blocks with the relevant ones that you need for that project. Any questions so far? Does this make sense? And I'll get to examples in a moment. Huh? So, let's go for an example quickly. So when you have a new thought or a new project that comes to mind, what's really nice is I think we as humans, we have we've had sit-down times where we've taken a few notes. I've got a new project. I've got some ideas in my head. I've told somebody else about this. I started recording something. I've got a video that really explains it quite well. We've got all of these ideas that are scattered. And what is great is to have an AI buddy to kind of bring some of that together. So what I'd like to do is I like to go for walks, put on granola. Granola is a great AI for taking transcribing my voice into ideas and then summarizing them. I don't know if you guys have any experience with granola yet. Gemini Live, or you've got GPT Live. They're great also applications. You can just walk and you can talk, and it just takes it all in. It's a great assistant to get your thoughts out onto, not paper, but you got the idea. But it's getting all your thoughts, you just walk. As long as you want, get those things out of your head while you're exercising, take your notes, anything that you've got, but only relevant stuff. Don't sit there and go, well, I'm just going to plug everything into this idea. You want relevant information, source it into a tool, a prompt, and then you get your outcome. You look at it and go, is this what I meant? Is this the project? Does it properly explain what it is that I was trying to formulate? If it is, you've got it validated, it becomes a building block. Okay? Let's call it, in this case, a business idea. It can be a lot of different things, but in this case, we're starting off with this building block of a business idea. We haven't taken time to actually structure our thinking. We've just brainstormed, we've kind of thrown it all together. We've written the prompt, and we get a nice document that comes out, and we say, yes, we like it, so we're going to go ahead and use that as our building block. So just an idea, like this is how a master prompt would look in that kind of case. Like, you're a structured thought partner. Transform my scattered ideas and notes and voice transcripts, partial thoughts, into something clear and organized. Consolidate the objectives, consolidate all the material I provide you. It can be video transcripts, can be notes, can be partial thoughts. Put that into a coherent sort of framework. The context, I will provide fragment inputs. Your task is to extract meaning, organize it logically, and present it clearly. My instructions, process all the material to produce structured outputs that look like this. This is how I want it ordered. My notes could be, don't invent anything. Don't hallucinate. I want you to only take what I'm giving you and put that into a structure. So this would be, let's say, the master prompt. And I would use this master prompt whenever I'm going through into a big idea generation. Maybe at the end I'd have different instructions because depending on the project I want something different, but the base idea is there. So ideas, tool and prompt, into a document, I read it, is that what I wanted? Yes. If that's the case, then I'm keeping that document in case I need it again. Now I move to a different project. Come on in, hi.
Thank you so much.
Hi. Okay. So now I move on to a different project. And this is going to be, I've got a business idea, and now I want my core purpose. So what do? One of my inputs is going to be a building block. It's my business idea from previously. Now I'm going to feed that into a deep research model in LLM. I'm going to take other sources, maybe articles or anything I find really interesting, and I'm going to run a deep research with my core information. It's my business idea that I want you to research. It is these articles of interest. And now we're going to do deeper research. There's going to be an outcome. I'm going to validate it. This is the kind of research that I was interested in. This is the information that is relevant to my business idea. If that's the case, we'll turn it into let's say, my core purpose, another building block. So now I've got two building blocks. I've got my core purpose, and I've got a business idea. By the way, these deep research tools that I've put down there, I mean, I think it's one of the best things that this world has got now, this deep research and notebook, LM, which I'll come to in a moment. So now, I'm thinking about what's my brand voice. Just as an example, I got another project I'm working on. I want to make sure that when I've got a business going, I want to always sound the same. If I'm speaking to somebody on LinkedIn, whether I'm speaking to, if I want to create a text that goes on my website, or if I want to deal directly with my clients, I want to have a similar tone and a sound. We can actually do that now. So we can sound similar. It used to be called the brand recognition, in that sense, the voice. But now we can do this with AI, and it can analyze everything we need and create for us a style of writing and a style of speaking. So you'd throw in some of your writing samples. So you give it a text that you've written yourself that sounds like you. Maybe it's a post that you've done, or a bunch of posts that were really successful. This is what it sounds like. Feed it in. Tell them, here's your samples. This is how I write. These are good posts that I've done, and these are phrases I do not like and do like, words I like and I do not like. Take all that into consideration. We run a certain prompt in a tool, a prompt in whatever system you choose, and it will create an actual brand voice for you. It's great. So here's what the master prompt might look like. It's going to have elements like, you are a brand strategist and a communication architect. Creates a complete writing style guide that ensures it reflects my voice, my tones, values, communication principles across all channels. So if I'm writing for a website, if I write for marketing, if I write for internal documents, I need this kind of building block that has that tone so that I don't have to figure this out every single time. I don't have to tell AI, no, I don't write like this. I'm in a new prompt, I'm in a new tool. I don't have to start explaining it, no, I don't like your tone. You've got a building block, you feed that into your LLM, and then it'll have a similar style of writing every time you need it. Make sense? I hope it does. So take that to a few steps further. Now you've got in your day-to-day project, you've built up a bunch of different types of blocks that you need, that you use, that are very specific to your domain, your life, whatever you kind of use AI for. And you select which ones are relevant for the project you're working on, seed it into an LLM. And I do recommend often changing your chats so that you wipe out history and you don't get hallucinations. But if you can feed in or seed in your actual relevant, up-to-date building blocks, it is a great way just to get a fresh start, and you'll feel the tone that's all different on the LLMs. Start giving you feedback again. So that's your day-to-day. You decide on your whatever project you're working on, you decide your building block that you need, go into whichever tool that you're using, you've got your master prompts for that particular type of project, and then boom, you start getting your specific project outputs, okay? Depending on what you're prompting and what your project is. That was my big highlight. I hope that's something useful that can be of use for other people. This is, having gone from tool to tool, project to project, the ways that I've been using AI has been difficult to get consistency. And for the projects that I've been working on, I've needed something consistent. And this is the only way that I'm seeing that I'm getting results constantly that are similar in the way that I've decided that I need it. Do you guys use deep research a lot? Like in your roles? I mean, I find it magic. It's like, if I'm looking for a car part that I need to repair, instead of trying to search and trying to find specific to that car part, it's amazing. It'll do you can do a full research. Here's the car that I've got, the year, this is the kind of thing that's happening, I'd like that. Good, here's some parts you can use, here's replacements, here's the original parts. My desk breaks with the engine, the stand-up desks. I can just go and do deep research on that particular model and the engine types, and I can see how else I can replace it. It does all the work for you, gives you history, gives you conclusions, and it's so quick to kind of like get something correct and like usable. But you can do it. There's a lot more sophisticated brand strategies. I've had to do research images that my audience that we're working with might actually relate with, very specifically. So we're dealing with educational company that teaches school kids. And it was a big challenge to try to find what are the images that these kids are going to relate with. Because there are so many options. Anything you can imagine is now available as imagery that you can start picking from. But what is it that's actually going to attract them? What is the right kind of... So you have AI to help you with researching. Then you build your prompts from that. Here's a prompt that's maybe for work-related. You're an AI and digital transformation strategist for SMEs in Switzerland. We can drum it down, get specific. Your help is to evaluate my skills and what's actually needed out there. It's kind of the idea, okay? So I'm going to input my building blocks here. What are the ones I need for this? Well, my skills, my experience, my CV, my this, my that, whatever is actually relevant for this sort of research. Give it specifically what I need. I need you to highlight the gap between SME realities in Switzerland and what my offerings, what can I help solve? Why not? Demonstrate why I'm uniquely qualified. But your rules are, do not exaggerate. Okay? Be transparent. Make sure you're not giving me fluff. Use real data and context when possible. Okay? But the kind of results that you get back from a deep research like this is absolutely incredible. You get real statistics, you get real figures, and you're getting the right context because it's taking your building blocks, your real elements, without all the extra fluff. You've validated what it is you want this AI to know about. You have a question? Go ahead. Yeah.
Just unclear on what you mean by deep research. Is it a specific kind of
Yes.
way of asking that is applied to different tools, or is it?
So I will show it in a moment, but what you've got is in some of your major LLMs, so ChatGPT has a deep research function. You'll see a little, this little icon where you select that. It's not for images, I want you to do deep research. Gemini has a deep research function. Perplexity does deep research. Grok does deep research. Grok would be very good because searching X, Twitter, because they've got most of their information from there. Google is hectically good at deep research at the moment because they will go in, you give them a topic, they'll say, okay, so what I'm understanding from is, so I give you all of this, and I say, please do deep research on this. When it goes, all right, fine, let me understand first what you're asking. Read all your building blocks, all of the inputs that you've given me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually summarize for you what I think you want. Tell me if I should cross anything off or if you want to change a little bit. And then it's when you're done, you say hit send. Basically, it takes about 5, 6, 7 minutes sometimes, and it just searches everything that it can find on the web. It'll deep dive into any sort of websites, yes, educational facilities or any educational books. You can just select which resources you want to go into, which resources you want as part of your research. But you should, if you can tell it to show me your thinking as you go, and it's quite an impressive thing to watch. It's really impressive. You'll just see it going through website. Okay, I think I understand the context now. What I'm going to do now is try to correlate this with that, and you can watch how it's thinking while it's doing this research. But it's doing what would take us weeks of research going through all of these websites, trying to piece together all these little elements. This is one thing of AI which I can say is like, I'm really, really impressed with it. It's really useful information to have. And a lot of different contexts. So the big hitters on that, on deep research, are Gemini. They're top ranked at the moment for the way that they're doing the research. But ChatGPT comes in quite close as well. They also do very well. Then you've got Perplexity, which is also brilliant. And then Grok is anything you need that is really social media and kind of live research. You want to understand people thinking, what are they talking about. You can do deep research and it'll piece together that kind of information. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick question. What about the Chinese chat boxes? DeepSeek, Manus, and I don't know, Kimi and the other ones. What about those?
What about them? What's your question exactly?
What the sense is, I just see what I see. I don't see any Chinese chat boxes.
I've not put any of the boxes on really. I've specified some of the main ones that are on the market that are working the best for deep research. I haven't spent any time on DeepSeek or some of the other new ones that are out there, but they're also making a good mark. I just don't know how they compete on the deep research side.
Just quickly, out of the ones that you've mentioned, have you split tested in terms of different platforms to look at like effectivity when it comes to, let's say you've mentioned that there's Google, Gemini, there's ChatGPT, and you said Perplexity as well.
Yep.
Have you split tested them to see the effectiveness and compare that?
I have for my projects, but again, it depends on the project that you're doing. There are actual maps. You can go to Google Gemini Docs, okay? And in the Gemini documentation, they show you how they perform based on all of the other tools, how they benchmark. But they don't use benchmark for all of the AI platforms. So I don't think they've included all of the DeepSeek is in there. But anyway, have a look at that. That's a great way to just the benchmarks where it's the best at. Is it good at generating images? Is it the best at deep research? Is it good at... They've got these benchmarks in there, so
I was more
it's a great
curious on
result.
your own thoughts, because obviously you've experienced all of them extensively, I imagine. So what have you found as
For me?
like your go-to?
For me, I keep on going back to Gemini, deep research, just because I'm getting the best results. And it's like, with their latest update they did, this 3.5, I was shocked, huh? 'Cause I didn't know that they put the update on. And so I ran a research on something which I'd done before. But it's like you've taken this university student and suddenly it's a professor. I mean, I couldn't believe the feedback that I got and the type of information. I'm like, oh yeah. It was really quite impressive. I mean, they deep dove well beyond what I thought it would give me. And, you know, I found it really impressive. So I keep coming back to it for most of my research. Yes?
Thanks. Speaking of research, usually when you're at university, a lot of universities will have a specific access to research libraries with scientific papers like JSTOR and others. Does this give you access to that, or is there a way to share all of that database and then search it?
So when you go to Perplexity, you can actually select, well, just search the web or search any educational documentations. So I don't know exactly what they have access to, but if it's on the web. So
they bypass the logins in a way to
no.
JSTOR, they have each paper
how they
have
share
an
it.
abstract which is public,
Um,
and then the rest of the abstract of the real white paper is behind the paywall.
okay.
And what the engine gives you is
The three-page
the
abstract.
the abstracts of thousands of millions of papers from months.
Yes, shoes.
How do you decide when you use the deep research function or not?
So if you need more than just standard information, which is going to be, if you're just doing an LLM query, you'll see the difference between knowledge that it has, and it just gives you a certain amount of information. When you do deep research, you'll see pages, and it takes a long time to do deep research. Okay, so you have to give it maybe 5 minutes, go grab a coffee, you come back, and wait a little longer. But it's quite an impressive process, an impressive document that it gives you. And how do you know when you need to do deep research? It's when you need something more intricate than just a standard answer. Trying to think if there's another example I can give you, but try out the functionality and see for yourself. On
It's like
Gemini,
about asking somebody a decision and then asking how did you make the decision, right? So you have the extensive logics behind this answer.
You can watch the logic in action while it's doing it, but it doesn't necessarily tell you the logic once it's come up with the results. So the results are more just a well-formatted document, research document. Wonderful. You can see the hundreds of sources it's gone through. And it's really good about picking good sources as well, which is quite impressive. Yes?
I'm not sure you said it, but like when doing deep research and when choosing the different models, you said you come back usually to Gemini.
For deep research, yeah.
For deep research. I just wonder, do you know how different is it, the results that you obtain when doing deep research for different models? Is it substantially different or not that much? Because in general I would expect slightly similar levels across, but it seems that Gemini is definitely among the top.
So for certain topics, when I've had to research, I don't do just on the one platform. I actually do deep research on multiple platforms. And then I'd go feed those documents into Notebook LM, which kind of sources all of the documents, and then I would say now run a report on all the common themes that you see on all of the research. So, do you know Notebook LM?
Sorry?
Do you know the Notebook LM application? All of those documentation, it feeds them together, and then I create special reports on those and just extract and make sure that everything is covered from all of the research that I'm doing. It really depends on every project you're working on, how much information you need, how certain you need to be that the information you're getting is accurate. But Perplexity is very good. I really do like the results that come back from that. But yeah, again, it really depends on the project.
It's a question which is a bit beyond the methodology that you are proposing here,
Yes.
which is really great as a methodology in general.
Okay.
Because I guess it was the same way like when somebody was going 20 years ago to a big library for the first time. They said, wow, what can you get from all these 10 million books like in Zurich or something like this? It is about the first part of your presentation where you were looking for authenticity.
Yes.
Let's assume that you and another consultant comes and then they do run the same methodology.
Yes.
How do you want to differentiate from your competitor? What is going to be the added value of you against the other person who is doing the same and they're accessing the same and running the same tools and having the same? How do you apply this?
So
your own personality.
What I was trying to explain earlier is what you need to do is feed it your original information. Okay, so you're trying to give writing styles that you've come up with. So if you're using it just for generating emails for you, have it read a lot of your emails. Understand the way you write. So that when it regenerates or responds to an email for you, it sounds like you. Okay, it's had something to learn from. Your other competitors can do the same thing, but they sound different from the start, from the word go. Huh? So the same thing is with your style of posting to, whatever your social media platform is. It's going to sound different. The way you do it is going to be different. Maybe you have purposeful errors in there. You have all caps. You have no caps. You have whatever the case is. Your style, and you help it learn your style of writing. So the competitors can do the same thing, but from the base they sound differently. Mm-hmm. But when you're throwing in research, it has to be contextualized. So if you're in the medical field, you're going to have to sound in a certain way. So first of all, it's going to say, well, you're in a medical domain, so we need to sound quite. This is a more agreed way of sounding when you're in the medical space. Mm-hmm. If you're an engineer or an electrician, or it's going to have a similar sort of. So maybe it doesn't matter so much how you specifically as a person write; it's how the industry understands it. So let it learn that. Your competitors can do the same thing.
Okay, so just as a conclusion from what you're saying, this deep research is going to be as good as you are.
Yes.
If somebody who has zero knowledge of the topic start to do this, first thing is going to understand, or this level is going to start on a totally different one than you. Because you actually, basically I would like this to be clear. So if somebody gets to a great library and cannot read, or doesn't know how to understand complex text,
yep.
It won't matter.
Just, I don't know how much you have still to go through. I will just keep the questions to the end, otherwise I'm afraid we won't have too much time to...
Sure.
Or we keep the goal of midnight.
No, exactly, that's the goal. All right. Visual styles. So this is an interesting one. Again, when you're doing marketing or when you're doing your own website, when you're doing whatever, posting on your social media platforms, you're trying to find, again, consistency is a heck of a difficult topic when you're trying to get AI to assist you. Normally we would go and we define a lot more about our style of drawing, our style of whatever the case, our imagery, and we'd have artists or photographers who take care of that. Now a lot of people are turning to AI, which in one sense, I'm okay with. In another sense, it's a pity because those artists and also people with actual experience it is amazing what you can do. If they're using AI as an enabler, you ask them, listen, I need a drawing with this kind of style. Let them do it and see what they come back so quickly. And they get really good at it. You as an everyday person, if we try to do it, redefining everything, try to figure out everything and try to use AI, it's an absolute mess because you can't get any consistent results. So, and I find that with most everything, if you want to design a website with AI, yeah, it's possible. But give it to somebody who knows how to design websites. Let them use AI as their enabler, and the results are completely different. So you as us, we look at websites so we can see when it's AI generated from scratch. So all to say is, if you are looking to structure or building your own imagery, here's a structure that works. You have a subject, a person looking at a document thinking. That's your subject, okay? So just to create this little man over here. Your surroundings, well, plain white background. And then your style, and this is where it's very difficult. This is where finding your right style is very complicated. But when you find it, you can be consistent with it. So there are only a few tools that are really good at generating images, like the Midjourney, like Gemini's Nano Banana. Get some great results from those, but it's still tricky. Nano Banana. You got it. I didn't come up with it, but I do like it. So when you start generating images that you do like, so for Midjourney, for example, you create a little mood board. You say, I like this style here. Put in a few images. This is the kind of style I really like. And so when you start explaining, hey, listen, I want a person looking at a document thinking, it'll go, oh, great, I know your style. I know what you're looking for. And it'll try to recreate something along that line. And you can stay consistent that way. Subject, surrounding, and your style. So Midjourney, I'm not sure if you've had a look at this. I'm sure you've seen Midjourney, but okay. You can see the variations of the type of things you can get. Cartoon characters, real life. I mean, some of the stuff is absolutely, shockingly beautiful and impressive. But what is their style? Here, this is going to be photorealistic. Okay? It's going to be, if you look at the, and you can go into Midjourney, you can say, look, what was the text that you used to get that image out? Sometimes it's quite long text. It's very specific. But try to be consistent, and it's really difficult to get a similar, okay, I always want to have this exact dog that looks like this in different settings. Sometimes I want him surrounded by sheep, sometimes he's got to be in the city, sometimes he's got to be cuddling with somebody else. Getting that right is not easy, so the consistency is quite a tough thing. So you have to really work it, really get specific with LLMs to be able to type exactly what you want.
Like in real life.
Like in real life. No, absolutely. So what I'm saying is, like with things like this, tools like this, the sky is the limit, but my goodness, that is a bit of a limiting factor sometimes because it is really difficult to get something that you want out of the tool, unless you know what you're doing.
Can you feed it a blueprint of a specific object?
Yes.
With your, like dog?
Yep, you can. So when you go into creating, you can actually, this is your text, your prompting area. And you've got this little area right here, next to the prompt. And you can say, here's a picture. Give me something that looks like that.
I mean, like the exact 3D model of the data.
The 3D model of what? Of the dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. I mean,
the 2D picture.
Oh, the 3D, I don't know. I've not seen that yet, but yeah. Let me know if you find something like that. Anyway, so I'm not going to go too much into it. Then you've got another tool, the Gemini Nano Banana. So you're asking, like, how do you do deep research? Well, in any prompt that you give Gemini, you can just select over here, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to do deep research, a standard kind of prompt, or do you want to use image creation, or do you want to create video? You just select which tool you want to use. Okay? Must it be thinking, or must it just be fast? Okay? So you decide. So in a case like this, I said, hey, listen, I want a person looking at a document thinking. We see with Midjourney, I've got a very different result. Okay, that's the man over there in the corner. If I ask this to Gemini, Nano Banana, I say, hey, listen, I want a picture of black and white sketch style of Charles M. Schultz, who created these characters with authentic imperfections and a void AI-generated look. It gives me that. Okay? Charlie Brown at a table holding a document thinking. Now what's beautiful about this tool is I can then go and say, hey, listen, instead of him holding a document, I want him to be holding a phone. And instead of sitting on a chair, I want him to be sitting on a cat. Now, you can see what the result is. Now he's holding a phone, like nothing ever happened, right? It's like just updated the image. Now this is a simple drawing, but this is done pretty darn well with photorealistic imagery as well. So this is where they really shine, this Nano Banana, is they actually, it's like your Adobe Photoshopping, different things in and out. But you can just do that through explaining what it is you want. It's extremely powerful, very impressive. But, as you can see, he didn't quite get it right. He's not sitting on the cat. So you're going to deal with all that sort of kind of problems and pains. Gamma AI. So I had 30 minutes pieces this presentation together. What I did is I put all my text that I wanted, just plain text. I said, hey Gamma, listen, just I'm importing some text for you, and just generate the presentation. And that's what you got here. Okay. Great. It's a great tool. If you want to be consistent, you create your own theme, you create your colors, you create everything that you want, and then there's different ways of doing it. Well, you can import your own PowerPoint presentation, and it will just do its best to generate things for you. But this is a game changer. If you're constantly doing presentations, this is great. And the company that we're working with, this social initiative that we've got, we had to create a lot of presentations, a lot of pages. And this was a lifesaver.
Can I ask you about that? So I personally use or try to find several AI apps
Yes.
to do exactly that.
For presentations?
Yeah,
Yep.
pretty much like from a sort of bunch of notes, relatively organized in a Word document. Even trying to guide with as slide 1, boom, slide 2, slide 3, and so on. I tried different tools, and they all give me different presentations, and none of them were truly aligned or as I wanted with the notes. I just wonder.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a few different things you have to keep in mind. Is often they will have this, what do they call it? You put in your notes, and they'll use an LLM, and they'll come up with the actual text. Unless you tell it specifically, don't change the text. Use exactly the text I put in there.
And sometimes they create something around those lines, but
Like text or imagery.
like imagery
Yeah.
or like slide-wise. But I think it's very difficult to make it as you actually want, even if it's simple. Because sometimes it's too fancy, or sometimes it has the logo of the Gamma AI or whatever, or it has maybe, I feel like it's good, but then if you want to edit, it's a nightmare. It happened to me that I wanted to, okay, this is the best I got out of all of them. Now I would like this style, exactly how it is, more or less, but I need to edit. And I found that pretty much every single word was in a single text box that I had to manually edit. It was a nightmare.
When you export it, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. So when you export it, it's in PowerPoint, then it gets a little troublesome from there, yeah.
But if you want to edit, how are you supposed to do it? Sometimes you don't
The
have
same
to
you
edit.
that you created it.
You see,
Sorry?
I would have to say, I disagree a little bit in that yes and no, because if you just need a few different standards and a few different norms, very easy. I find, but I don't let Gamma, for example, create my imagery for me. I just say, just leave space for the imagery. And I get to know the tool a little bit. It's a lot simpler than your PowerPoints. a lot fewer features, but as soon as you get to know what those features are, you can go like, I just found myself, wow, this is quite easy. You just keep going. Create my image, plug my image in, lay it out. Is it up there? Is it on the side? Is it this way? But it does take getting to know a new tool.
Okay. No, I get it.
So just touch on that, like, because to me, looking at this, because I've never used it, but to me, what is really fascinating is I can put in, like, as you said, text, and then it'll come up with the presentation. But then if you're saying that the image generation or that not as reliable, then what is really the value? Because I mean, essentially you're saying that it will put things into a presentation format, but you have to put your own images in, or like what?
Oh, you can do whatever you want. So it'll generate images for you, which you can then say, no, don't like it, refresh until you like it, which is what you have to do in another tool. The reason I don't use it is because I have to have, in the business that I'm working with, it has to be very specific. So I would define very specifically in Midjourney what it is, the images I'm looking for. It can't be different in its style.
So the key is be specific, and the more detailed you are...
Exactly. So I need it very specific. They're getting much better at allowing you to be specific and choose which tool you want to run it in. If you want to run it in Nano Banana, if you want to run it in other tools, much better.
So the value that you extract from this is the layout, or like what is? Because if you put in the images, like what is the value that you get from this person?
It's that. It gets the layout done for me super fast, huh? Super fast. I mean, so what I ended up doing is because we don't have internet, I couldn't use Gamma. So I uploaded it to Gamma, got it all set, and I just like, before coming, it's like, oh cool, let's export it to PowerPoint in case we don't have Wi-Fi here. We don't have Wi-Fi, so now we're using the PowerPoint presentation. Layout's fine.
It's all depending on the details of the request.
It does.
Yeah, if you have a request in 5 words...
You're not wrong though, because...
Ship in, ship out, right?
Yeah, you're not wrong though, because we have had that problem as well, that they suddenly become little and you have to move everything around. It's not much fun.
Try this one.
Is everything alright, guys? Hi, how's it going? Alright, moving on. Good. Notebook, LM. So if you haven't used Notebook LM, this is another thing. Like if this is all AI brings, it's wonderful. Huh? So here you can feed in all of the sources of information that are of interest to you to look at. Now, for students, for example, they're going to be studying a certain topic. So they're going to put their PDF, their documents of that subject that they're studying into the Notebook LLM. Then, what you can do, you can start typing and ask specific questions about what you've put in there. You can add YouTube videos, you can add your own text, you can add all your relevant information, and it's just under that context that Notebook then works. Okay? It doesn't bring in everything else. It just has intelligence to read, scan, and understand everything that you put in there.
Even videos?
Even videos, YouTube videos. Audio files. It's amazing. When you're doing your walking and talking or whatever, and you've got an audio file, put it in there, extract it, create structure out of it. You can do loads of things from that basis. Okay, so that's this part here. Then you've got what's called this area over here, which is, okay, so they don't show it here, but you can create, let's say, a video of your topics, please. Okay, because I don't want to learn my topic from school. I don't like it in PDF. Create a video for me. Create a podcast for me. And the podcast will be two people talking about your topic.
Audio?
Audio, yeah. So you can now go take a walk and listen to your school's PDF document in a interactive style. And you can interact. You can go, stop, sorry, wait, stop. What you're saying is this. Oh, yeah. Thanks, we got somebody asking a question here. Yes. So that is the answer. In fact, you have to keep in mind that it's an interactive podcast created completely through AI generation. Okay?
This is just a function of Notebook LM, right?
It's just a function of Notebook LM, yeah. Now, that's one of the things that got people really excited, really interested, but it's gotten further. It's going further and further. So the areas that I like to use it, and sometimes I do, I've got lots of very contextualized documents and research and things that we need. And I don't want to start typing, but I can say, hey, listen, I've got a hell of a lot of documents, what day of the week are we? And it'll find out, you know, in those documents, oh yeah, we're talking about this day, and this is the topic, and I can ask questions about it. More specifically, I can start creating my own reports. I can create a blog post, I can create a study guide, a briefing document, or hey, I can just create my own. And this, in the company that we're needing, hi there, come on in. So, the way we're using it is in fact a really good way. I create very specific documents from audio files, from deep research, from videos, and combine all of that into a very specific synthesis that in the way we need it. Okay? I was talking about deep research and all the research that I do from all the platforms. I plug those at all of my sources. Now that is sources that each deep research LLM has searched from all over the internet. Okay? It's an extensive amount of information for each report. Put it in there, and then I would go, now, create my own report, and this is what I want out of this report, and this is how I want it to be structured. Start off with an executive summary, then move on to something that tells me the why. Tell me then this, and then this. And it cannot hallucinate, it cannot invent things. It has to be based on my criteria, my starting sources.
Is this...
Say again?
If it already hallucinated to the deep research you did before, it is already there.
Have a look for yourself and see what you think about the hallucination element in the deep research. Yes, there is hallucinations, but if you've got 3 different sources that are validating, or it's not corresponding over the 3 researches, that's something that I would put in my create my own documents and say, only give me information that you find in all 3 documents, for example. Yes?
Hi, sorry, I came late. But, I mean, one of the biggest problems with AI is it just invents rubbish, like Trump.
Hallucinations,
So,
yeah.
hallucinations. So, I mean, I'm a journalist by training.
Mm-hmm.
How much of this is actually referencing? Because I've also seen references that come out that are crap.
Oh, yeah.
They invent things, they attribute it to a peer review, and it's not correct.
Correct.
And you end up wasting more time going
So,
through it all, checking
If I could
AI.
just come back a little bit to the discussion we had earlier, is we do deep research on a specific topic. We do it on different platforms. So if you really need proper referencing, then that's how a way to kind of make sure that it is agreed from different
But what
sources.
is one site that actually uses correct referencing that doesn't hallucinate? Because they all seem to just hallucinate. You can't trust anything. There's none. You might as well go back to Google.
Well, Google is doing the deep research for you as well.
Yeah, but they're
So
at least giving you the correct piece. They're not inventing things
So-
that aren't in the article.
Google's Gemini deep research is actually very powerful, and they've gotten a heck of a lot better with the hallucination side of things, and that is something that you have to keep up with the documentation to see how they're improving on a per release basis. It is measurable.
Sorry, just conscious of time, we'll leave the question for the end. I'll let you finish just because
So
we're already
it's
over time.
hallucinating.
Oh, all right.
And then
Okay.
we can-
I thought we know we
No,
got
that's
to the
fine, yeah.
edge. Okay, I have no idea what time, how
Well,
much you wanted to.
just to make sure that we have a bit of this
Perfect.
discussion, but we'll leave some time after for
Okay, so
questions.
can we-
Perfect.
Sorry, can we just distinguish between facts and hallucination?
What do you want to?
I'm interested in facts. It all seems to be very nice, very pretty, very monotonous, but invented.
Let's come back to it. Maybe we'll talk afterwards on that. Okay, because we've covered a fair bit as we've gone along already. Okay, I'm not going to get into agents, but when these blocks that I've kind of mentioned earlier, when you're repeating certain actions regularly, then you start creating agents that run those blocks for you regularly. Okay, so you build it into a system. The agent will then always refer to your information and always have a structured outcome and a structured action and a structured this and that and the other. That's what the agents are doing.
Is there a reason you're not getting into agents? Because I think that's pretty much.
Sorry,
I was about to
Is that what you came for?
We'll keep on it.
Anyway, so I can finish off with that. So, again, coming back to some of the things I started off with, is just try to stay consistent and try to stay human in the fact that you're being authentic. To start with, you know your ideas, you're bringing your own thinking process into the mix. You're not trying to just rely on AI for this, but bring your own thoughts, know what you're wanting out of it, get your problem statement ready before you get busy on projects, and build these master prompts, build your building blocks of things that are actually relevant to the domain that you're in, to your personal life potentially, or whatever you're using AI for. Okay. So anyway, I've just put in a few things that we use as we started getting out to get more consistent sort of results, but not too important for now. Okay. Thank you, Glenn.